What's going on, everybody? This is Maximilian again, and yeah, it's been a while, hasn't it? Anywho, let's get on to the video. So, if you guys were smarter than me, and hopefully you were, because I'm pretty sure some of you, or maybe at least one of you, has to have commented on this by now. Someone's like, hey, well, why didn't you go back to Goldenrod after you got done with Ekritik, and blah, 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 and go to Bill's house and get the Eevee that was there? And when I was looking up how to get where the Eevee was, because I just completely forgot where the Eevee was in this game, when I found out it was in Goldenrod, I was about ready to kick myself. So yeah, if you were smarter than me, you could have done this probably about, oh gosh, 10 episodes ago, and you would have had an Eevee. But yeah, I completely forgot about it. So yeah, I suck. I know. There's where you get Eevee. Eventually I'm going to get an Umbreon, but for the time being, it just seems that every time I turn on my emulator, it's always daytime, so considering you need to raise your Eevee while it's in the dark, as well as giving it haircuts and crap to make it happy, only at night to get it to be an Umbreon, we're going to have to wait a little while. I'm going to try and figure out why exactly my emulator's doing that. I'm pretty sure it's because I'm running it at like 200% speed, but maybe if I, like chunk it down to like 190 or something, it'll throw it off, and eventually one of these days I'll be able to get it to go to night again. So I'll go ahead and try and do that later, but for right now, I'm really only focused on Claire and getting through her because she is pretty difficult. Her Pokemon are much better than ours right now. I just need to level grind. And there really isn't a very good place to level grind, at least in my opinion at the moment. Like, in the little route between Blackthorn and Newbark Town, or whatever it's called, that one little route where you run all the way down and you're back to where you started the game, like, it has some fairly decent level Pokemon in it, but for the most part, they're all just Gravelers and Geodudes, which means if you're trying to race someone like a Xatu, who's naturally weak to Rock-type Pokemon, it's just going to be a freakish nightmare trying to get through that. I mean, it's great for Feraligatr because it's just non-stop surf all day long. Now, granted, it's going to take a while because Gravelers don't give that much experience points, even though they're in evolved form, but I'm going to try my best to plow through this. So this is just me doing a little bit of level grinding because you guys wanted to see it. So I've fought a couple of trainers in the gym, like the I guess the what do you call them, the henchmen or whatever, the pre-trainers, the pre-game warm-up before we go to Claire. I took care of all of them because they're really not that hard, but I'm not even gonna kid myself in trying to convince myself that we're even close to being ready for Claire. Like, it's just not happening yet. Even with Feraligatr, like, even if I just tried to use nothing but Feraligatr over and over again through the entire fight, I would not be able to do it. Her Pokemon are just too good. So we're not going to worry about that yet. What I'm going to try to do, though, is I'm going to try to get Feraligatr up to probably mid to somewhat high 30s. I'm going to try and get Xatu up there around the same level as well, and I want to get Haunter to around 36 or 37. Really, those are the only three Pokemon that I have in my party at the moment that can actually, have a decent, I guess, chance at fighting Dragon-type Pokemon, because not any of them are particularly good. Well, except for Feraligatr, obviously, because, it's Ice Punch, but that's basically the only thing we have at our disposal right now that's actually good against Claire. But at the same time, like, the rest of the party is just comparatively weak, at least when you think about, Quilava, who typecasts as Fire, which is weak against dragons, and then you have Meganium, which typecasts as Grass, which is weak against pretty much everything, including dragons, and then we also have Ampharos, which is Electric, which is also weak against dragons. Feraligatr is technically also weak against dragons, because it has a Water-type move, but since we have an Ice-type move in that lineup, I guess he's technically a bit of an advantage. Haunter and Xatu are actually the only ones that can normally typecast against her Dragon-type party. She basically, those are our only chances of being able to fight her. We're not going to be able to super effective our way out of it. We're actually going to have to try on this one. So this is going to be pretty difficult, I would imagine. Kingdra's a little bit iffy, because you do have the ability to fight with Ampharos because the super effectiveness of the water against a water type and the half effectiveness against dragon types will cancel each other out effectively, but I mean, it's still a Kingdra. Like, that thing is nothing to be screwed around with. It's got a ridiculous amount of HP. It's a water Pokemon, so it's got a ton of attack, and I really just don't want to bother dealing with it. So, I don't know what I'm going to do for Kingdra. For her Dragonairs, though, that shouldn't be too much of a problem if I can just land enough Ice Punches without getting Thunder Wave, because Dragon Pokemon, namely the Dratini Evolutions, Dragonair, Dragonite, love Thunder Wave. And I mean love it. Like, every single trainer in this gym, first opportunity they get, if they can do it, they'll have Thunder Wave. So, what you should do is go ahead and hop around the early parts of the map, because there's tons of berry trees everywhere, and a lot of them have Paralyzed Cure berries. Grab a ton of those, because those will save you so much against Thunder Waves. Since they automatically trigger as soon as your Pokemon's paralyzed, you can throw your second attack in without having to worry about taking a chance or reducing your speed. It's just an absolutely essential advantage if you want to actually beat Claire. Now, I'm going to have to go back and go there and get them myself. I haven't quite got them all yet, because when I was going through the gym, I burned through every single one of mine. I basically handed my entire party a Paralyzed Cure berry, and by the time I got out, they were all gone. So, one thing that I would recommend that you do, though, if you did happen to get an EV by this time, and I really hope that you haven't evolved it yet, I really do, because that would kind of suck, but since you have the ability to box glitch in this game, in addition to cloning items, you obviously have to clone the Pokemon that's holding the item. So, what I'd recommend you do is box glitch and clone Eevee, so you have at least 5 copies of Eevee, one for each of the evolutions. That way you'll be able to maximize your Pokedex, and you won't have to worry about glitching nearly as much to fill it out, assuming that you do end up doing that. So I'm going to do that at some point, probably off the screen, because really nobody wants to see me resetting my Game Boy emulator for 10 minutes. And I explained how to do it fairly thoroughly in the first episode, or at least not just the glitch in general, like how to get all 3 starters. You don't have to go through all that process, just the box glitching part where you deposit, and then in the middle of the game save, you just reset your emulator, and basically you're good to go. It's not that difficult. Not that difficult. So, I'm going to take care of that in the meantime, and I'm also going to try to get my emulator to work so I can actually get an Umbreon, because, I mean, I guess I could get an Espeon out of the way if we really wanted to, but at this point, like, we really do need an Umbreon, because, well, spoiler alert, you guys did kind of vote for him a lot, so we're going to try and get that Umbreon as quickly as possible. Now, for level grinding, I'm guessing that, well, maybe hopefully this will hold you over. I don't know how much more of this you want to see, but it's probably going to take me about another hour or so, like actual recording hour of footage to actually get, like, I guess a fully level grinded party is what I'm thinking of. And so that basically end up being 3 or 4 more episodes of me just doing nothing but walking around in wild grass and fighting Pokemon. That would basically be it. So if you guys really want to see that, go ahead and let me know, but I highly doubt that you're going to. So what I'm going to do is, at least for the little bit of the next foreseeable future, and I guess that just means whenever I get a free hour to myself, I'm going to go ahead and level grind. And I'm going to make sure this party is ready to go, because I want to fight Claire really bad. I want to get her out of the way, and I want to get access to that cave thing that's behind Blackthorn, so I can finally have a decent place to level grind. Because that's one of the unfortunate parts about Johto. There really is no good place to do it. At least in Kanto, you had places like Indigo Plateau, you had the Victory Road, you had what other places did you have? You had the Unknown Dungeon, or whatever it was called, the last cave where you got Mewtwo. Like, you could level grind anywhere in Red, and you could do it well. In Johto, there's just really no good place to do it. All the Pokemon are way too weak, so it takes forever, and you don't have the infinite rare candy glitch at your disposal, so it's kind of difficult to actually, you know, get your Pokemon to a high level. You have to do it the hard way. So I'm going to try and get to Claire as fast as humanly possible. Now, that may mean that I may have to, like, skip posting a video for a day just for the sake of level grinding, because honestly, I don't have that much free time after work, so I'm going to try to get it out there as fast as possible for you guys. However, I can't really make too many promises. So just let me know if you want to post the level grinding. I'll go ahead and post it. But the thing is, if I do post all of it, it's going to take me longer to get through it, just because I'm going to have to break that up into 15-minute segments and then post each one of those individually, like, once a day. So as opposed to having me go one day, say, without posting anything, it would be like an extra 3 or 4 days of me posting level grinding with us getting nowhere. So that would basically be it. So that's up to you guys. Go ahead and leave a comment if you want to see it. Let me know. Otherwise, I'll basically just assume that you're probably going to take the, I guess, the sensible option here and just, let me go ahead and go through it. I mean, I did kind of take a lot of time off last week, but that was also because I was incredibly busy. Very, very busy. And I could definitely feel my body straining from that busyness, so I just really didn't want to force it. I didn't want to try and compromise anything by staying up extra late to get a Pokemon video going, because I already had a lot going on at that point. So I just wanted to take it easy, make sure I stayed healthy, because really that's the biggest part for me. I cannot afford to get sick this summer. Since I'm working full-time, like, if I miss even 1 or 2 days, that's huge, because pretty much every dime that I'm making this summer is being saved or used for some kind of college effect. Like, because, college costs money. It's a fact of life. And if I miss days at work, that not only does that put me behind schedule for what I'm doing at work, but it also costs me quite a bit of money in the long run. And it would just absolutely blow if I got sick on a weekend. Like, if any of you know the feeling, like, when you're in high school and you get sick, it's like, oh, it's no big deal, you get to miss a day of high school. Because really, missing a day of high school, it didn't matter at all. It really didn't, because you could just make up the work in no time at all, and you'd be back on track in no time. But then if you ever got sick on, like, a weekend, or during the summer, or, like, during spring break, it just sucks so hard. Like, I think I had to get my wisdom teeth out on, like, the last week of summer vacation before my junior year started. And it sucked. I absolutely hated it. Because, like, it doesn't sound like much getting 4 teeth pulled, but the pain is actually really bad. And just because you've been under anesthesia and you've been going through some intense trauma and blood loss, because you bleed quite a bit when they yank your back molars out, just kind of saying, it takes your body a long time to recover from that. That, and since you got so much pain going on in your mouth, you lose a lot of your appetite, because you just know, well, I can't chew anything, so what's the point? So you basically kind of live off yogurt and ice cream for like 3 or 4 days, depending on how long it takes you to recover and how serious it was. But you lose a lot of your appetite, and it's kind of a cyclical effect, like a very vicious spiral of sorts. When you get sick, you kind of lose your appetite, but you need to be eating in order to keep your immune system up to speed. So when you don't eat, you get sicker, and when you get sicker, you don't feel like eating anymore. Same thing kind of works with wisdom teeth, except it kind of gradually fades away. Whereas with something like the stomach flu, it's just like very vicious cycle. You just get stuck in this cycle of, well, I can't eat because I can't keep anything down, and I can't keep anything down because I'm sick, and I can't get better because I'm not eating. So yeah, that's basically what happens when you get wisdom teeth pulled. So I was basically stuck in bed for 5 days. Now, I did make the most of it. I mean, I watched a ton of The Office, which was freaking hilarious, because, it's The Office. And I actually read quite a bit of the Harry Potter books, because this is way back when. This was, like, before even the 5th movie came out, so this was a long time ago. When I was in elementary school, or I guess primary school if you live in the UK, I read the first 3 Harry Potter books, but I couldn't find a copy of the 4th book when it came out, because, everybody had to get their hands on it. So I just stopped reading it, and I never really picked it up again. Well, this is summer before my junior year started. I knew I was going to get my wisdom teeth yanked out, so that basically means 5 days confined to bed, and you can basically do nothing more except sit there and just try and keep yourself entertained while you kind of writhe around in pain and eat ice cream. I know it sounds like a joyous occasion, but it is not. Even with the Vicodin, it's not. So I asked my friend if I could borrow his copies of the Harry Potter books. So I think during that week, I read the 4th book. Like, I know some of you are like, oh, you read the 4th book in a week? I could read that in like 2 days. And I know, like, even though I just have nothing to do but lay in bed and read this book, I am a horrendously slow reader. And I don't know why, I just never acquired the skill. So I read books at a very, very slow pace. So I read that 4th book in a week. I really loved it. So I decided I'd keep going with it. So I read the 5th book after that. That one took me a little longer, obviously, because, the 5th book is just monstrous. Apparently, J.K. Rowling didn't have an editor for that one. But I eventually made it through the 5th book, so I turned him back to him, and, oh my god, it's an Entei. Oh my god. That really freaked me out when I just happened to run into that. No idea how it happened. As per usual, that's kind of how they do things, but I figured, well, I'm not going to be able to catch it. Let's just hurt it a little bit, and we'll get it next time. So I was kind of disappointed, but, what can you do? Just my luck. Anyway, back to what I was talking about. So I got the 6th and 7th books, and I read those two. I think I finished those books probably around a month or two into the semester. So I had finished reading the Harry Potter series. I loved it, and I actually got to see the final movie this Saturday, and it was pretty good, actually. Like, it's a lot more satisfying when you know that there's some closure to the movie that you're watching, and you're not just left in the middle of it like part one. Because, I mean, you know, it sucks to leave off in the middle, but considering all the detail that was in the book and the amount of money they wanted to make, obviously, kind of had to do it. So, yeah, that's the story of me and my wisdom teeth and Harry Potter, and oh my god, an Entei. Woohoo! See you guys next time.